Hello. So, welcome to the concept of innovation, diffusion, and adaptation in marketing. So, diffusion of innovation. The marketer faces two questions. That is, whether the modified new product and service offering would be accepted by segment. How quickly would the product and service offering be accepted by segment? So this is a golden question, or it's $1 billion question in front of the marketer. So whether it is whether a new product or a modified product, whether it is how fast it is accepted, or how quickly it is accepted by the segment. So let's understand the concept of innovation. What is innovation? So innovation can be described with varying perspective and orientation. It can be firm oriented, it can be product oriented, it can be market oriented or consumer oriented. So here it's when it's firm oriented, what does it mean firm oriented? If the firm is entering a market for the first time, or if the firm is marketing a product for the first time, that is what we call firm oriented. Then the next is product oriented. It got through two approaches to product oriented. Approach 1 and 2, we will be studying it in detail. And then you have got the market oriented and the consumer oriented. So we can explain the concept of innovation vividly with the help of these elements. So let's see what is firm oriented. Now let's see what is approach 1, that is product oriented. The first one is continuous innovation. A product is regarded as continuous innovation if it is modification over an existing product. It is not as essentially a new product but an improvement over the already existing one. They would also be line extensions and do not disrupt established usage and pattern. So see, the best example is that the improvements in laser jet printers, digital TVs, shaving razors, change in call plans in Airtel, that is service segment. So these are the examples of continuous innovation in product segment. So here we can see that a product is regarded as continuous innovation if it is modification over an existing product. It is not essentially a new product but an improvement over the already existing product. So that is termed as continuous innovation. So the next one is dynamically continuous innovation, where the innovation is regarded as dynamically continuous if it exerts some influence on usage and behavioral pattern, but this influence is not truly disruptive. The word which we have to remember is disruptive. It does not totally change behavior pattern. So for example, the Walkman gave way to the portable CD player. The CD player gave way to the portable iPod, isn't it? So this is what we call dynamically continuous innovation. Then the discontinuous innovation. So here there is a the word we are using here is discontinuous. The continuity is discontinued. So here the for example is that the postal mail, we used to use innovation, the postal system, to send letters, isn't it? Nowadays it was replaced by our emails. So that is the classic example of discontinuous innovation. It give way to the next generation, totally new product. The old landline give way to the cell phones. So these are some of the examples for discontinuous innovation. Then approach 2, that is innovative product, can be classified on the basis of how the newness in form, features and attributes can impact consumer satisfaction. The greater the degree of satisfaction, higher its rank on the scale of innovativeness. Innovation can be classified artificially new, marginally new and genuinely new. So here some other terms are coming up, very interesting. So you can have the artificially new. Artificially new represent not much of a change and do not have much impact user satisfaction. For example, a new flavor of ice cream. So this is artificially new. Then marginally new. Here there are some level of change in customer satisfaction because the product is new, differs a little over the existing product and provides greater benefit. So that is marginally new. The first one is artificially new. The second one is marginally new. Example is razor printer replacing the dot metric printers. Then genuinely new. That is, it is totally a new product and completely differ from its existing products. For example, the microwave ovens, cell phones, home remedial or medical test kits that we can test it in our home itself. So those are some product which is completely new or genuinely new. Then in innovation, the other concept is, first we discussed the firm oriented, second product oriented. Now we are discussing the market oriented. In market oriented approach, innovation means it's depending on how much exposure the customer have about the product, uh, services offerings, and the total sale penetration that could occur in a specific short period of time. So that is what market oriented innovation means. The product is regarded as new if the market does not have much exposure of it. Sales penetration has been low, then also we can term that the product is new. Then consumer oriented approach of defining innovation is another very interesting thing. That the newness or innovation is dealt through focus on consumer and his or her reaction towards the new product and service offering in terms of acceptance and rejections. So the product may be there for a long time, but the customer is using or the consumer is using for the first time, then that product can be termed as a new product. So that is what the customer oriented or the consumer oriented concept. Then as per this approach, any product is regarded as new if the consumer believes it is to be so. It is purely based on the consumer's perception of the newness of the product. It is purely based on the consumer's perceptions. Nothing there exists a lot. There exists those product much earlier, but the consumer may not be aware about the product. So he or she might be using it for the first time. So for her or him, that is the product is new. So that products can be termed as new product. So then let's discuss about the diffusion process. Schiffman defines diffusion as the process by which the acceptance of an innovation that is a new product, new service, new idea, or new practice is spread by communication. That is, we are coming up with the mass media, salespeople, or informal conversations to members of a social system, a target market, over a period of time. Diffusion of innovation is a theory of how, why, and at what rate new idea and technology spread through cultures. So it's a very beautiful the concept and this concept of innovation. It's actually if you understand it to the crux, it's a beautiful concept in marketing. That is, it defines as the acceptance of an innovation. That is a new product, new service, new idea, or a new practice. And it's spread by communication, that it incorporates all the integrated marketing communications to the members of social system, that is the target market. So this is what diffusion defined by Schiffman. So the another beautiful concept you have to understand in innovation, diffusion of innovation, is adoption and adapter category. So the rate of adoption refers to the period that it is taken for a new product or service to be accepted by the target market. And it depends upon the adapter category, that is innovators, early adapter, early majority, late majority, and laggards. Non-adapters, the unaware group, symbolic rejectors, symbolic adapters, trial adapters, and trial rejectors. So this is the non-adapter category. So without the understanding of these terms, you may not be able to understand the beautiful concept of adaptation process in diffusion. Generally speaking, the consumer passes through 5 stages of adaptation, that is awareness, interest, evaluation, trial, and adoption or rejection. So you got this picture, the graphical representation of innovators, early adopters, early majority, late majority, and laggards. So from this picture, it's quite vivid that the first innovators, that the first people who try the product is 2.5%. See, nowadays we all know that electrical vehicles are there. If you see how many people are buying it, we can say that the percentage is less than 10%. Everyone is watching how that electric vehicle is working. So that's those people who try their hand in by buying the electric vehicle, they can be termed as innovators. So then after that, the next phase is early adopters. After the first trials, when it's over, then people will become more confident. They started buying the product. So those segments are termed as early adopters. Then we all know that the early majority will be there. That is the mass. There is a mass acceptance of the product, and people are started buying the product. And there is a we can say that there is a turnaround reach for the product happened in the market. So early majority and late majority, and there is another beautiful word is there. It's called the laggards. Laggards means are the late adopters, or we can say very late adopters who buy the product after the product reaches the passing phase or in the fading phase. So those are 16%. Those segment of the buyers are termed as laggards. Then non-adapter category. So unaware group, that is customers may not be aware about the product. So they don't know whether such products exist. So that groups are there. Then symbolic rejectors are there. Those who are aware of the product but feel that there is no need, that product is not meant for them. Then symbolic adapters are there. That is they are aware of the innovative offering and believe that the product or service may be of relevance to them, but they are yet to try innovative offering. They know about the product is good, but they are reluctant to try it. So those people can be termed as symbolic adapters. Then trial adapters, they have tried the trial but not yet made the purchase. Then the trial rejectors are there. They are non-adapters who have tried the new product or service but have not found it suitable, and they have no intention in further purchase or repurchase of the product. Then what is the adaptation process? Schiffman defines adaptation as the stages through which an individual consumer passes while arriving at a decision or try or not to try, or to continue using or to discontinue using a new product. So these are the various stages which we discussed earlier. Awareness, interest, evaluation, trial, and adoption. So these are the 5 stages of adoption. Then what is awareness? This is the first stage in the adoption process where the consumer is exposed to the new product, service offerings, and gets to know of the product. The marketer's objective here is to provide some awareness about the innovation, the features and benefits, and also the brand. The consumer is generally passive and acts as a mere recipient of information. He becomes aware because lack of sufficient knowledge about the offering. So that is the first category, that is the first stage, that is called the awareness. So there is a lot of lack of information in the market, not aware about the product, not well versed with the product, a little bit confused about the product. So then slowly the interest is creating in the mind of the customer. In this stage, the consumer begins to develop some interest in the innovative offering and thereby puts in some effort to know more about it. He actively searches for information about the new product, services, and try to assess how it can benefit him. So now the first stage is the awareness creation. Next stage is interest, and then the evaluation part. Once once the product steer the interest in the mind of the customer will search a lot about the product depending upon the type of the product, whether it is a luxury product, a shopping product, or whether it is a any other a tangible one or a service. So he started searching about the product, get maximum information about the product. Then the third stage is the evaluation, where more information search is necessary with respect to the innovation as well as to the brand. He is sufficient with the product service information that he possesses. Then the consumer also evaluates the innovative offering in terms of the attributes, features, and other benefits. So he used to evaluate the product. Then trial. So we all use test drives. For if it's an automobile vehicle, we go for a test drive before buying the product. Before tasting something, we used to taste the product if possible. Before buying a dress, we used to have a trial whether it suits us or not, isn't it? So this process, this stage is the trial stage, where the consumer goes and try out the innovative offering, but there is not yet any further purchase or repurchase commitment. So there is no commitment. We will give a trial for that product, but there is no commitment from our side to buy the product. The product or service is experienced on a small scale and used on a limited basis only to determine the worth or usefulness. The last stage is the adoption. Based on the trial stage and the resultant experience, the consumer would decide to use, reuse, patronize the offering. So that is the adoption process. These are the stages in the adoption process, starting with the awareness, then when the customer is become aware of the existence of product, then an interest is created in the mind of the customer. The customer search information about the product. Then the customer go for an evaluation about the product, maybe comparing it with we all used to do that. We all used to compare when you're buying a phone or a gadget or whatever it may be online. You will go and you will compare with the similar products, and then you will also go with the reviews. Similarly, here the consumer evaluate the product on various aspects, and then they go for a trial for the product, and then adoption, the last stage. And here, whether he will buy the product continuously or not, that is a $1 billion question. It's there the product, whether the product is good or not, or acceptable or not, whether the company is going to benefit with the product or not. That's why we used to say that consumer is the king, or consumer decides. So let's see the factors which influence, or the factors which affect diffusion of innovation or adoption process. We can say that there are controllable and uncontrollable factors are there. The pestle or the environmental factors can be termed as the uncontrollable factors. That can be social, cultural, technological, legal aspects. Then the controllable factors are the product attributes, features, benefits, the content of the product, and the MNCs. The MNCs used to come up with product. They used to go for IMC, that is integrated marketing communication. All the communications, that is the promotion, the channel, the place, the product, everything is controllable. Then marketing communication or interpersonal communication extra used by the marketer in the manner that facilitate quicker and easier acceptance of the innovative offering. So the forces that work against the innovation, that is the social cultural, same thing, the uncontrollable factor that work against the innovation also, whether it is socially acceptable or not. For example, contraceptive pills and all, whether it is acceptable religiously or not. So those are something, before doing any advertisement to a particular target audience, the marketer had to think about those factors. Then financial constraints. EV vehicles, especially the cars, they are all are above 50 lakhs, isn't it? So that part, that there's a lot of financial constraint is there for mobilizing the economies of scale. Then the technological, cultural aspects. Then the factors that can act as triggers to the diffusion and adoption process. So that is the relative advantage of the product. If we compare the product with other product, or the product which we are using, so based on that we will come up with a conclusion whether the product is compatible or not. Then the complexity of the product, that is, we all go with convenience and less complex products. So then the trialability of the product, whether the company is providing an opportunity to get a trial for the product. Then observability, whether it is whether we can feel, touch the tangible features of the product. Then the other barriers are, that is, usage, value, the psychological factors. So as we discussed, so these are that is the mismatch between, once you started using the product, if there is a mismatch between what they communicated, what we tried, then that leads to dissatisfaction in the mind of the customer. Then the perceived values, the values, it's very important. That is, it's the difference between the benefit, the amount, that is the cost which the consumer incurred in getting the product. It can be the psychological cost, or it can be the total cost, that is the perceived risk. Every factors attribute to this value perception. Then the psychological factors, that is whether there is any traditional barrier is there, or whether there is any image barrier is there. Maybe because the picture, the image, the shape or the size or the color, whether it is against their psychological feelings. So that is also counted. Then the risk which is associated in getting the product, so that also plays as a barrier in the diffusion and adoption process. It's a functional risk, that is whether the product will function properly or not. Whether there is any physical risk, that is whether there is this directly relate to the tangible nature of the product, whether you can handle it properly, or you have to handle it very carefully. So the risk, social risk, that is whether it is acceptable by others or not. The financial risk, that the cost incurred. The psychological risk, that is your own the perception related risk. And the time risk, how much time you spend for procuring that product. So this is a topic which is a very important topic in marketing, and it actually plays a key role when it comes to the commercialization of products. Okay, thank you.